Are there any injury updates we need to know about?
Something today in training with Dele Alli. But when I say something, is because I don't think it's big, and because I don't know really what it is. So the bad thing of press conference 48 hours before the game is because there is still a training session tomorrow, so you cannot know what I don't know, if he is available on or not. Apart of that, from the game, nothing. And Jeff Tanganga, we believe, training with the team next week, and no problems.
What area of the body is it with Dele that's the concern?
Hamstring.
Thank you.
Which is something that he had problems in the past, in previous seasons, even in the beginning of this season, and is always something that makes the medical department think about it. But of course, we all think that is nothing important. And if you ask me in this moment, I would say that he will be available, but I don't know.
After such an injustice, Jose, how do you lift the troops to go again?
Are you speaking about the Hurricanes goal, right?
Correct, Jose.
Yeah. I think we just have to forget and to move on. And I think that is the reason why I want to be honest and just don't say that because of Michael Oliver mistake we lost the game. Mistakes can happen in a football match. We all make mistakes and we all have to move on. I know that is a situation that had a big impact in the game, at least in the result of the game at half time. One thing is 1-0, another thing is 1-1. But 45 minutes more to play, and I refuse totally to say that was because of Michael Oliver mistake that we lost the game.
You said to the club TV after the game that that decision killed the players, and that it shouldn't have done, that they should have put it out of their minds. It's difficult though, isn't it, when the whole of football, outside perhaps a referee or two, sees it as one of the biggest injustices ever this season.
Yeah, but I don't want to be always on the same point, because I cannot coach Michael Oliver. I can coach my players. My job is to coach my players, and I have to admit that is a frustration for me. Was a frustration for me to realize that we should do better than what we did. So again, would be very comfortable for me to be here and smashing the decision and seizing the opportunity to go around that and around and around. I don't want to say that. I think that before that we should play better than we did, and after that we should play better than what we did. That's why after the game I had no problems in praise our opponent, because I thought they deserve more than us.
Moving on then to Everton. Never ever lost to Everton. 9 games, won 7, drawn 2. So at least you, as a manager, you, Jose, yeah, at home, sorry.
I have no idea. You always come with numbers and with stats, and but I had no idea. I played against Everton with Chelsea and United. not with Tottenham, and even with Tottenham, the results of the past, I don't think they have an influence in the results of the future. Next week we are going to be here, and you or another one of your colleagues is going to tell me Newcastle Tottenham, you never won at St James's Park in a Premier League match, and I will tell you that I don't care about it. I play there with Chelsea and United, and now I go with Tottenham, and it's a new season and it's a new match. So I'm not the kind of person that gets too much influence, positively or negatively. So I'm not going to be more confident because of that stats. The same way that next week I'm not going to be negative because I go to St James's Park where I never beat Newcastle for the Premier League.
Finally, from me, Carlo Ancelotti, a man you admire and a head coach manager you respect.
I think everyone in football admires Carlo as a coach and as a person. If you don't know him as a person, at least you know him as a coach. And it's not because I like him so much as a person that I'm going to say the obvious, which is one of the top managers in the world of the last 2 decades. And of course, now I think it's a privilege for the Premier League to have Carlo back. It's a privilege for Tottenham to have Carlo as his manager or head coach, the way you want to call him. As a manager, we all know him, and we don't need to speak about him because his office in his house. I don't know the house in Milan or the house in London or Liverpool, but some office in one of his houses is full of cups, so he doesn't need anyone to speak about Carlo. As a person, I had the privilege to know him for a few years, to stay and be with him a few times in UEFA meetings, in some different occasions, and I just love Carlo. I think he's a fantastic guy. So I think I'm going to break the rules. Now is 1 meter, no? 1 meter distance. I'm going to break the rules and I'm going to hug him because I like Carlo very much.
Thank you.
Cheers, Gary. We'll go to James at TalkSport next. Hi, Jose.
Hey.
Jose, how significant do you see these final 6 matches of the season, and what are you hoping to learn from your squad in that time?
I have to admit that I love to work with the guys during these periods of the quarantine, and when we start working together. They were fantastic. They were phenomenal in their committing, in their professionalism. I just love it. I was really happy with many things of the game against United and against West Ham, and was disappointing for me the game against Sheffield. I refuse to speak again about the extraordinary situation that happened in the game. And one of the reasons why I refuse to speak more about it is exactly because I was not happy with what I saw. There was a lot in the game. There was a possibility of shorting distances to Champions League positions. There was a possibility of being more stable for the Europa League positions fight. I believed in the evolution of the team, and I thought that by the desired point of view, I think they put more than us, and that is something that disturbs me. It's something that I feel, I don't know, that's my way of being, is something that destroys me a little bit on the inside, because I think the last thing in football is when you have the feeling that you should do more. I always say it's not a problem for me to lose because the opponent was better. It's not a problem for me to lose because my goalkeeper made a big mistake. It's not a problem for me to lose because my striker missed 2 chances with an open goal. It's not a problem for me to lose because some guy missed a penalty in the last minute. It's not a problem for me to cope with mistakes and defeats. It's a problem for me to cope with defeats where my feeling was that we could do more, much more. So in this moment, I'm not happy, but experience, and I know that we have another match after tomorrow. We have 6 matches to play, and before the holiday period, which normally is a holiday period for the players, but not for us coaches, and is a period where we analyze everything and we try to get the best decisions facing the future. But we have 6 matches to play, and we have to fight for every point.
How confident are you that your squad will have that desire against Everton on Monday night?
I'm always confident. I'm always positive. That's why sometimes I am disappointed. But confidence exists all the time. And I had great examples of my boys in very difficult situations, especially, for example, when we had half of the squad injured, even losing matches like we lost. But I had a proper team. I had a proper group of players trying the possible and the impossible to go against a really, really difficult situation. In this moment where practically every player is available to play, and we have lots of options. Yes, I believe that I'm not the only one that feels hurted by our performance at Sheffield. I believe, because I know that I have lots of good guys and lots of good professionals. I believe that they also felt bad. They also felt, of course, not happy with our performance, a part of the result, because sometimes you are disappointed with the result, but you feel that the performance was good. I think I believe that the guys are also hurted by our own performance.
Just finally from me, Jose, Tottenham, they've not finished lower than 6th in 11 years. Do you believe that you and your squad will be able to keep that run going?
I believe, but it's also possible that that doesn't happen. And if that doesn't happen, it's not the end of the world. If that doesn't happen, is probably the beginning of a new world, because things change for you, change for other clubs. The squads, they change, the motivations, they change, the group dynamics, they change. A group that possibly was strong 10 years ago is not strong anymore. A player that was in the maximum of his motivation is not anymore, and vice versa. The group dynamics is something that changed a lot in groups, not just in football, in groups. So it's also possible that we don't get into a top 6 position, and if that happens, of course, we have to look at it not smiling, but we have to look at it with optimism, and look at it with a professional profile of next season has to be different, because if you analyze Tottenham, for example, last year, how many matches Tottenham won away at home? When I arrived was, I think, almost 1 year without one victory away. So when we beat West Ham away, I think was the first victory away for 10 months or 11 months or something like that. So If it happens, it happens.
Thank you, Jose.
But we don't want it to happen, and we are going to fight for not to happen. Hey, Jonathan.
Hi. You said earlier in the week that you're only looking to make a few additions in the transfer market in the summer. Do you expect any players to leave?
I don't know the market, my friend. First of all, I'm not in control of the market. Secondly, the market now will be also something new. The dynamics of the market are something that for many of us are still a question mark. I think it's a normal situation in every club. Some player to go and some player to stay. So I see that as a very normal thing to happen.
Cool. And you said earlier that Tanganga will be back in training next week. Might you have him available before the end of the season?
Oof, it's too long without playing, and an important injury. I don't think so. Eventually, last match, 2 weeks to work and be available for the next match, maybe. But to play safe, young guy with a very important injury, probably the best thing for him is to be back for next season.
Cheers.
Cheers, man. Move to Alex at PLP next.
Hi, Jose. How are you?
Hello, you good?
Yeah, all good. Thank you. What's been the main focus in the build-up to the Everton game in your training sessions? Have you done anything differently? And what's the mood like?
The boys that played, they are still on the recovering process. We analyzed the game against Sheffield. Of course we did. We always do. And the other boys that didn't play, they work normally. I don't think the dynamic has changed too much. Obviously, the meeting was in our privacy, and is to keep in our privacy. To be honest, is a meeting that we do basically every week after every match. Playing phenomenal, playing good or playing bad, winning or losing, we always do it. So nothing really. We have one more day tomorrow. Tomorrow, yes, to touch some points in relation to the game plan against Everton. But normal, probably less smiling, probably less laughing. That's the way football is. When you lose, you are not happy. When you win, you smile more.
Hi, Jose. How you doing?
Hey, Charlie.
Hey, I just wondered, you mentioned there the strength of your squad, and obviously you've got 3 games coming up this week. Do you think we'll see quite a bit more rotation than has been the case in the previous 3 games for you?
I think we have to do some, yeah. We play Everton, Bournemouth, Arsenal, and Newcastle with 2 days in between matches. Of course, it's very, very difficult for a player to play 90 minutes of every match. In some positions, will be a little bit more difficult to do it, but in some others, we have options, and of course, rotation becomes something that we need to do.
Quickly.
Hey there, Jose.
Hey, Alistair.
Could I just ask you, you've spoken a bit about mentality in recent days, obviously in the match itself, responding to negative things that happen. And the other day you spoke about top players being on the bench and how that should be a normal thing. And obviously you also mentioned the away games, the away record at the club. Obviously there's always been doubts about whether Spurs can actually take that big club mentality and take the next step. How do you, as someone who's obviously had experience of that, how do you bring that to them?
Time. Only time. I think one of the most difficult things in football is exactly to change mentalities, is to change state of mind, is to change the team soul. I think is one of the most difficult things in football. And sometimes you have incredible luck to have a majority of players very, very adapted to these needs. And some other times you have incredible talented players, but the psychological profile is different or was built in a different direction. So only time can do it. And you had a recent example of the new champions, and you know what the process to build a team is.
I mean, you've got quite a young squad. Would it help to maybe try and bring in some experienced players in the next window?
No, in this moment I'm not going in this direction, and I don't think personalities they have to do with age. There is young people with incredible mentality, and there is people with a lot of experience that they don't have the right mentality. So I don't think it's about age. It's more about a certain profile.
Thank you.